Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today it is Phistomefel Day. This is Phistomefel's latest puzzle, which is called Japanese Sum. And, well, with good reason. I've read the rules. In fact, I've read the rules twice. And I think that this is it is a hybrid between sudoku, but sort of chaos construction sudoku. So you can see we get no regions given to us. We're going to have to put the regions into the grid somehow, although they needn't be 3x3s. So we're going to put the regions in the grid. That's probably too many cells. And then we're going to have to play Japanese sums logic problems with all of these clues around the grid. Now let me show you up here. If we go to hopefully you'll be able to see some of the comments on this puzzle, which is 100% rated on Logic Masters Germany, and just everybody is absolutely eulogizing about the great man's work here. Very many names from the great and the good of the Sudoku community you will see if you just take a quick scan down there, and everybody, KNT, Naverio, Jesper, Polar Vebi, Playmaker, Agent, I mean, everyone, ThoughtBite, all of these people, who are great constructors in their own right, basically saying what an amazing puzzle this is. So this is what we're going to try and do. I did see in some of the feedback that some people alluded to the fact that it was a very long solve. So this might be a very long video. If indeed I can solve the puzzle at all, Phistomefel is one of those names that does definitely give me the fear. But let's talk about some other things before we get cracking with this one. What can I tell you about? I'll start off with a couple of birthdays. Gio, it's your birthday today, and I know this because your husband Joshua wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. So happy birthday, Gio, and also happy birthday, Mark, who has not our Mark. This is a different Mark, who's turned 60 over there in Vancouver. And I know this because your wife Stephanie wrote to us. Now, Vancouver is a place I went to once. Why did I go there? I went there because I was going to Whistler to go skiing, which was a treat, except when I got to the top of a run called Spanky's Ladder. Now, yeah, my skiing, I'm fairly brave when I go skiing. You know, I'll go down anything, but Spanky's Ladder was about the limit of what I'm prepared to go down, to be honest. Yeah, I knew it was bad when we got to the sort of 30-foot jump. Anyway, Mark, I hope you have a great day, of course, with lots of chocolate cake. Yeah, I know what I wanted to share with you. This channel isn't just about Sudoku, it's about things that we find lovely and intelligent. And I follow a poet on Twitter called Brian Bilston, of whom I am a huge fan. For reasons such as, no, that's the Phistomefel example puzzle we're going to be looking at in a moment. This, which is a little poem he published today called Departure. At the airport she drew him near, then whispered softly in his ear, not words of partings, sad sweet sorrow, but don't forget the bins tomorrow. Which I think in modern life is really, really, it will for many people watching this video, it will chime in a certain way. So I thought I might share it with you. Brian Bilston, follow him on Twitter. He is a linguistic genius. Now, what else? All right, Glum Hippo's Sudoku Hunt. I still haven't drawn the winner of the plushie. For that, my apologies. I will try and do it before tomorrow's video so we can announce it tomorrow. But do join us on Patreon. It is a wonderful place. It's like, what's a good way of describing Patreon? It's like Mensa, but a lot cheaper and with added Sudoku sauce. There we go. There, I've said it. That's how to describe Patreon. Costs a couple of bucks a month, and you get access to all the extra content, which this month included the monthly reward, which was Glum Hippo's Fossil Hunt, and these people have solved the whole thing. So very well done to Helen Whitfield, Dave Edwards, Jonathan McManus, Caitlin Bond, Jeremy Pronovost, Julia Bernhardt, Phil Schaffer, Max Baroy, Amir Jamshid Nakai, I think, Jeffrey Byrne, Martin van Amstel, Ma Jose, Gareth Thomas, No Feet McGee, Eat Kikinka, I might be getting that wrong, Eat Kikinka, I think it is, Alex Andranash, Daryl Olson, and Maddie Capelloni. All of you sent in the correct entries. Very well solved indeed. And we'll have more names for you tomorrow. But let us read the rules of Japanese sum and find out what Phistomefel has in store for us. Here they are. Shade some of the cells and write a digit from 1 to 9 in every unshaded cell, such that no digit repeats within a row or column. Shaded cells cannot contain numbers. A row or column does not necessarily contain every digit from 1 to 9. There are 9 orthogonally connected sets of unshaded cells containing each digit from 1 to 9 exactly once in the grid. So that's the bit about we have to put in our 9 regions somewhere. Each unshaded cell is part of such a region, and the regions may not touch orthogonally but may touch diagonally. The clues outside the grid are Japanese sum clues. A number indicates the sum of the digits in a consecutive set of unshaded cells. We've got an example in a minute, so I will show you that, which I think will elucidate what all this means. The clues are given in the right order. A single question mark represents a single digit from 1 to 9. Combined with another digit, it can also be 0, as long as this is not a leading 0, e.g. 1 question mark. Have we got any 1 question mark clues? Yes, 1 question mark could be any number from 10 to 19, and question mark 4 can be 1 4, 2 4, 3 4, or 4 4. Okay. Question mark represents some number which is greater than 9. Star. Now star is the most satanic clue in the world in these puzzles. Star represents any number of sets of consecutive unshaded cells with arbitrary sums, including no unshaded cells at all. Every consecutive set of unshaded cells is accounted for by a Japanese sum clue. Well, I can tell you, if you've ever done a Japanese sum puzzle before, which is a classic logic problem, these rules are completely standard. However, if you haven't, they will seem very hard to understand. So we'll look at an example in a moment. But I will just say that I hate these clues. I hate them. These ones that are the star clues, because basically they are, this star in this row. Actually, this row is a good example. That star is saying nothing, basically, about this row. We don't know anything. We don't know if it's got unshaded cells in it, we don't know if it's got shaded cells in it, and we don't know where the unshaded or the shaded cells are. And when you plonk these in the middle of rows like this, so this could mean that there's a 6 at the start, a 3 at the end, and there could be anything in between them. We could have an enormous string of digits. We could have no digits at all. We just don't know. So I hate star clues. There, I've said it. But look, let's have a look at this, which is the example puzzle. Now, this is an example puzzle that looks like it's got regions that are 1 to 6 rather than 1 to 9. But let's just study this for a moment and see if we can understand what's going on. So where's the best place to start? Let's start in the top row. We've got a 3 and a 14 clue. So if we look at the top row of the solution here, you can see that the first set of unshaded cells contains a 2 and a 1. And that's because 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that's dealing with the 3 here. And then the next set of green cells contain 3, 6 and 5, or 3, 6 and 5 add up to 14. So that is how the first row's clue works. Now, let's try something more complicated. Let's look at column 1, where we've got 3 star 6. So again, the 3 appears in green first. And if we go to the end of the column, or the bottom of the column, you can see you've got a 5 plus a 1, which is explaining the 6. Now, between those, that 3 and that 6, you can see there is actually a region of size 10, a 6 plus a 4 region, but it's not clued because the star can be anything. We do have to make sure that the 3 and the 6 are separated by black cells, of course, so we can't just merge them together. But apart from that, what's between the 3 and the 6 clue can be anything at all. Now, shall we try and understand I don't know, let's have a look at this column. So that column is question mark at the top. Now that, okay, that's corresponding to the 3 here, and that's because 3 is a single digit total. But question mark after that must be, what did it say, at least a 10? Yeah, at least a 10 clue. Here it is 10. It's 4 plus 6 is 10. So that's the question mark clue. And then after the question mark clue, we get the star. We get the devil's own clue, which is basically saying that after that we can do anything we want. So it's sort of a very interesting rule set. Magical rule set. Probably going to be a monstrously hard puzzle. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And we shall start by looking for big clues, I think. I'm seeing a 3 question mark clue there. Let me just see if there's anything bigger than that. The example, or the instructions referred to a... Oh no, it was a question mark 4. I thought it was a 4 question mark clue. So maybe we haven't got anything bigger than 3. We've got 34 there. We've got 3 question mark there. Now my scanning is notoriously poor and I can't see anything bigger than that. Now, okay, right, I'm less excited about this row now because 3 question mark could just be 30, couldn't it? Which would be a 30 as a minimum. And 30 as a minimum could be done in just 4 cells. It could be 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we could have 6, 7, 8, 9 there. Now we're going to have to decide on some colours, aren't we, to do this? I think I'll use green and black. So green cells will indicate that they are digited cells. They will be cells into which we have to put a digit. And we'll use black cells for cells where we don't have to put a digit. So if this was 30 and we did it in 4 cells, then we would have to separate that from the next clue, which would be, well, could be as little as a 1 cell clue, and then we'd have to have another, and you can see we could do something like that. And that's very unhelpful indeed, because if we start that from that end, we're not going to be even, I don't think we're going to prove anything. Let me just double check that. Oh, well, actually, maybe we do. Hang on. If we start here and we make this cell green, black, green, black. Oh, no, we don't. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the minimum length of the green, and then these 4 would be black at the end. So in fact, that row is a complete red herring. It doesn't actually do anything. Right, well, let's try that one then. So the 34 is at least 5 cells. It could be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 4 black square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and this is why these star clues are so annoying, because they look like, if these were actual regions of greenliness, this would be very powerful, because we'd go 4 black square, star black square, a region that's at least 5 long, black square, and then this star, which would be a star and a black square. So we would, or it could be a star at the end. But there would be very little latitude in this row about what was going where. But the introduction of the stars, which can basically be ignored for the purposes of counting the row, I don't think we get anything. I don't think I can force this row. 4 black square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I can't force it at all. Right, so it's not that. It's going to be something else. The top row we've got... Well, the top row, in a funny way, I prefer to the second row, because at least I know that there are just 2 sets of contiguous green cells in the top row. There's something that adds to 5, which might just be a 5 on its own. And then there's something that adds up to 29. Ah. Well, okay, I just had a thought there, which is that 29 in 4 cells is possible, but only if it's 5, 7, 8, 9, which would use the 5. So So the minimum number of green cells in this row is not 5, it's at least 6, I suppose is what I'm saying there. Because if we put 5 there, and then we moved along the row to put the 29 in, we couldn't make the 29 5, 7, 8, 9 now. So it would have to be at least 5 cells. I don't think it matters, but I think that's... No, it's not enough to actually get us. I've got no green cells at all yet. This is a total disaster. What about that column where we've got an 11 and then at least a 20? So 11 is going to be at least 2 cells. Black cell, 20 could be as few as 3 cells. And then star, then the devil's own clue. Right, this is going terribly. Oh, no, see, that could be as little as a 10, couldn't it? This question mark, if the first digit is a 1, it could just be a 10 clue. So that's... We've got at least 38 here of the 45's worth of digits that you get in Sudoku. So that is, I've let you in on a secret there. Now the secret is something I only tell my favourite people, but if you're with me still after 16 minutes of my absolute gibberish that hasn't got me anywhere, then you're definitely one of my favourite people. So why am I talking about 45? Well, it's because if I did put the numbers 1 to 9 in a row of this puzzle, then if you add up the numbers 1 to 9, you get 45. So it's not possible to put more than 45's worth of digits in any one column or row, because we are told in the instructions that we can't repeat a digit in a row or column. So this row, well, it's missing a maximum of 7's worth of digits. Oh, hang on, 4 and 34 are the same as 5 and 20. Ah, hang on. So what I'm thinking here is, when I was thinking about the minimum length of a 34 clue, I said it was 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's true, it might be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, but if it was 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 4 clue here couldn't be done in one cell. So actually these two clues together are not a minimum of 6 cells, they're a minimum of 7 cells. Now, does that change the maths on the row? So if I put 4 here, black square, then I'd need 6 cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to do the 34. And that would get this square as green. But if I made that 2 cells, so I say I did that in a 1 and a 3, then I could do the 34 in just 5 cells. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I think this cell has to be green. Because however obviously if I start from this side, if I claim that this cell is part of the 34, I'm always going to get at least 5 cells. I might get 6 cells, I might get 7 cells, but I'm definitely getting at least 5 cells. So that's picking up this cell. Yeah, so perhaps another way of thinking about this was, let's try and make this black, and now let's see if we can do this. So we know that we can't fit the 34 in there, so all of those would be black. And now we've got 3, 4. I should actually have checked the size of this grid, shouldn't we? What is it? 12 by 12. It's 12 by 12. So if I get rid, so this is 7 cells. But we said that's how many cells we need to make 4 plus 34. We need 7 cells of greenliness. So we can't do it because we need to separate the 4 from the 34. So if we try and do this, if we made that 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 and put a black square here, we can't just make this a single 4 because we've just used the 4 in that string. So this is not going to work. And that's, well, I say it's lovely. It's very minimal. And looks like it's a total disaster, because actually in this column, even though I know this square contains a digit, we've got the dreaded star clue at the top, which, so bang, if that was a question mark, then we go black square, question mark, black square, question mark, and then we could have anything up there. It just is not under any pressure. Okay, so right, so the idea here must be surely that we don't connect this 29 and this 34. And the reason for that is that if I do connect the 29 in the top row with the 34 in the second row, then I must have a region that contains digits that sum to at least 63. But we know that no region can sum to 63 in the puzzle because the regions contain the digits 1 to 9 once each, and 1 to 9 adds up to 45. So the 29 and the 34 have to be kept separate. So that square, I want to say this square must be black now. Is that true? If that square was not black, what would it be? It would have to be part of the 29. This does have to be part of the 34. Oh, that's a point. Oh, no. Maybe that doesn't have to be part of the 34. No, that does have to be part of the 34, doesn't it? There's no way that cannot be part of the 34 and be part of a star clue, because I can't fit the 34 into the right of it. And we've just shown that we can't fit the 34 to the left of it. So this is part of the 34. It therefore cannot join to the 29. And if that square was green, it would be in the 29 because it couldn't be in the 5. So that square is black. Right, there we go. We've got a tiny extra deduction. So the 29 could fit into those 4 squares, but if it didn't, it would be over here where... Yeah, so we are at least reaching a sort of binary position here. Because if the 29 is in these cells, we worked out that we couldn't make 5 plus 29 in just 5 cells of greeniness. We needed at least 6 cells of greeniness, and we need a cell to separate the 5 and the 29. So that gets us to 7 cells, which would be those cells. So if we are over here with the 29 and the 5, both of those squares have to be green. But if we're over there, those 4 cells are. If those 4 cells have to be green, we'd have to extend those 2 downwards, because we've got two 11 clues here. The star clue. This is so difficult to see what we're meant to do, isn't it? So we either have 29 here, or if we're on this side, the 29 must go at least 4 cells. So we get a 13. So we get a 13 and a 10, but we don't know whether that square would be green. Oh, hang on a moment. I've got a horrible feeling that I've missed something very obvious. Oh, I have. Oh dear. Okay, I've just noted something that I should have seen immediately and didn't. That square's black. Okay, mea culpa. Didn't spot it at all. That's going to change. That's done. We've done it. We've broken it. We've broken into the puzzle. If you cannot see how to break into the puzzle now, do pause the video and think about this square. For those of you who've already understood this and probably understood it like 10 minutes ago, my apologies. But this square is, I think, profoundly interesting, given that we've got this region building requirement in the puzzle, i.e. all green squares have to be in sort of snakes or regions that are 9 cells large. So, question. If this square was green, what should we put in it? Well, we've got a 5 in this direction and a 5 in this direction, so we have to satisfy both of those criteria. We could just write 5 in there. But if we do that, those 2 squares have to be black. And that is a 1-cell region. It doesn't have all the digits 1 to 9 in it, so that really is bad. That is not right. Now what about if we put a lower digit in? Let's try and put 3 in, for example. Well, what's that going to mean? Well, now this square has to be green to make the 5 work, and that square has to be green to make the 5 work. But the digit we're going to have to put into both of those squares is the same digit. And that's not going to work because this is all part of the same region. So, and because we can't make 5 in 3 cells, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6, that is very, very, very important, because we can now blacken this square. And now I think we come back here, don't we? Because we now know we can't fit in the 29 and the 5 within just a 6-cell sequence. So the 29 lives over there. The 11 and the 11 have to come down. Right, and that square is now beautiful, because this cell here, what would happen if it was green? Well, then the 29, which we know is this region, is connecting to this region, which we know is the 34, and we have a 63 region, and that won't work. So that square has to be black to separate. So the star clue here does actually have some greeniness associated with it. Rotten thing. Now we can pencil mark these digits 5, 7, 8 and 9 because, well, we can. That's the only way of making 29 in 4 cells. This 7 clue, well, if we make that 8 or 9, it won't work. So that's either a single 7 or it's a 5 with a 2 here. This is now, right, so this is the 34 clue now, which we know must be at least a 5-cell sequence. Now, does that square have to be green now? I think so, because if it wasn't, we'd put the 4 here, and then we'd need a 5-cell sequence adding to 34, which would require the 4 to be repeated. So that is now green, which is part of the 5. So hang on, the 5 and the 4 are now friends, aren't they? So we can't, this 5 cannot be a single cell now, because if it was, it would just contain 5 and break the 4. So we have to, the 5 is in 2 cells, it can't be in 3 cells, so that becomes, look, we are actually making a tiny bit of progress here. This is very exciting, for me at least. Now, okay, so the 5 clue in the top row is not a solitary digit now, so it is a 2-cell sequence, which is either 1, 4 or 2, 3. But we lose the potency of the 13 and the 10 now by having this 34 region floating off the top of the grid, because I don't know, the 13, it could be there, or it could be there, or it could be all 3 of them, it could be 4 like that. We just don't really know whether that cell's green or not. At least I don't think I do. Right, row 2 is using all of the digits 1 to 9 actually, because we know that the 4 and the 34 are using at least, well, they're using at least 7 digits, because we couldn't do it in 6, because we need to repeat the 4. So there are 7 green cells there and 2 green cells there. So that's lovely. So that cell is grey or black because it can't be another digit, because we need 7 green cells here to make the 4 and the 34 work. So that square is a 7, which means these squares are not 7. So these squares do I know what they are somehow? I know that they could be part of, well, I mean, at least, at least one of them has to come to this row, doesn't it? Because otherwise I'm going to, if I blacken both of those, that's going to create a region of size 6. So at least one of them, of these 11 stretches, comes down here, which means one of these can't be a 9, because if we add 2 digits to 9, we're going to get at least 12. Oh dear. Right, in row 2. Right, I see. In row 2, where do we put 5, 7, 8 and 9? And the answer is, I don't know. But I know I don't put them there. And I can't repeat them in a region, so they are in the 34 region. So the 34 region contains 4 cells adding up to 29. Yeah, that's lovely actually. So it's forced. Because imagine those were the 4 cells that were the 5, 7, 8 and 9 in row 2. We know that row 2 contains all the digits. So we have to put 5, 7, 8 and 9. We can't put them there. If we put them there, this for clue is broken. So they have to live in the 34 region. They add up to 29. So if I try and keep the 34 region to just 5 cells, the extra digit we'd need would be a repeated 5 in the region. Because we're saying that we're putting 5, 7, 8 and 9 in here, then we need another 5. That won't work. So that's got to extend. It's got to be 2 digits to add to 5, which means this square turns black. Now this is 2-cell region. It needs to become a 9-cell region in the fullness of time. Well, oh, that's lovely as well. This is very clever so far, isn't it? Well, I'd expect nothing else. But look, how could that cell be green? If that cell's green, this region has now got 10 cells in it. So that cell is not green, but this needs to grow again. Oh, this is good. Right, look, that's a double-digit clue. So that can't be done in a single cell. So that's got to grow again. Yeah, we can keep going with this. This question mark clue corresponds to this and maybe this, which means the 10 clue here is this. So that's got to be at least 2 digits. Right. So I've got I'm going to actually pencil like that. I've got 5, 7, 8 and 9 in there. So this is a 4. that's the obvious. I've got a second digit. I get a third digit because 4 plus 1 equals 5. I'm actually, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tick these off somehow when I've done them. So I'm going to, what should we do? Should we change their colour to red? So a red clue means don't think about this clue anymore. That clue of, okay. I redified both of these because of this stupid clue here, which basically tells me nothing about the rest of that column. So we did the useful thing, which was the 7, and then the rest of the column can have anything in it. Now, hang on. I know what's in here now. Because it's got 5, 7, 8 and 9 in it, and 2 more digits that sum to 5, which don't include 4. So this is 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. Oh, Mark would be very proud of the pencil marking here. This is getting hard for me to see, actually. So these squares include a 1, and a 1 and a 6, I want to say. So that's a 1 and a 6. The 6 will have to go... okay. So remember what we're heading towards with these totals. We're looking for 11 totals in the vertical plane. So the 6 will have to pair up with the 5. So there's a 5 definitely in one of those. That can't be a 5. And the 1... Well, that is interesting. The 1 can't pair up with the 9, because then to get to 11 we'd need another 1. So the 1 is partnering with an 8. There's a 2 in one of those squares. And that one of these strings is 8, 1, 2, and one of them is 5, 6, but we don't know which way round they go. But that square is therefore the 9, which is a little win, isn't it? So I was about to redify something up here, but I get no joy because I've got a star clue. Right. So, okay, so now the 5 clue here. Look, I've done that 29 clue I've just seen. In fact, I've done row 2. I've literally done it. So that gets all sort of marked off. Now, let's think about how this 5 clue works as well, because whatever we put here is definitely going to join to this region. So how can we make 5? Well, we can't use 2 plus 3, and we can't use 5 itself, so we must be using 1 plus 4. So there is a 1 and a 4 in these strings of digits which add to 5, and so the digit we've not put in this green series now is a 6. So there is a 6 in one of those cells. It can't obviously be in the top row because it's not being clued. Now, does that mean I deserve to redify this 5? Maybe it's a little bit premature to do that, so we'll hold off on that for a moment. Now, what do I do now? I've got nothing here. There must be something I'm meant to look at. If that's green, or maybe it's easier if that's not green. If that's not green, if that's green, those two are both green, and that becomes a 1-4 pair. And then this would have to not add up to more than a single digit total. Actually, that still doesn't have to. Oh, that's it. Right. Here's a deduction anyway. This domino corresponds to one of those 2 clues. I don't know which one. But if I extended it again, so it was a 3-cell sequence of green, its minimum sum would be 2 plus 3 plus 5, because 1 and 4 have gone. And 2 plus 3 plus 5 is 10, which is more than a single digit, so it couldn't correspond to the question mark. So that square is grey, or black in our world. Now that square could be a question mark. Yeah, it could be a question mark. And actually, it would, if it was green, we'd have to have 2 to get it out, but that is still possible. But we couldn't have 3, so it would be exactly 2. So in fact, if that is green, you have to do that, which would then put a black square here, which actually, so it would be quite powerful if I could prove that was green. But I don't see a way of doing that. Oh, hang on. No, the 30 clues are what we already looked at, isn't it? That's where we started. And I didn't think I could do, if I knew that was like 39 or something, that would be huge. Right. Golly gosh. Sorry, I'm trying to see something. 7 in this row has to be somewhere, but because we've got the 2 starred clues, that could, oh no, well okay, that is not the 7 clue here, which it could have been from just the dynamics of the clue and the rules, but we can't put 6 there because there's a 6 in one of these. So oh, I see. Actually, that's very clever. That is very clever. Okay, so the next pause the video moment is row 3, where I think we can write a digit in, believe it or not. That's incredibly clever. I mean, I've been looking at these clues for a while, and that one, because it had the 2 stars in it, did not strike me as a very fertile ground to examine. But it is, because for those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. But where can we put digits that sum to 7, or indeed a 7 itself, in this row? Now, obviously, once this square is not the 7, we can't use a 3-cell sequence that adds to 7, because 1, 2 and 4 are not available. So we're either looking at a 2-cell sequence, which would not be able to be 1, 6, So we're looking at a 2, 5 or a 3, 4, or we're looking at a solitary 7. So let's try and do it with a domino. Where could we do it with a domino? Well, we know the 2 is over there. So if we use the 2, we have to use a 5. But the 2 and the 5 are going to be in the same region as that 5. So it's not 2, 5. So is it 3, 4? Where could we put 3 and 4 in this row? Well, that's actually I haven't thought through one possibility. I could see it wasn't going to be able. I could see I couldn't join it here. But maybe I can do 2, 3, 4 here. Oh, bobbins. Bobbins, sorry. Okay, my clever idea. Sorry for those of you who paused the video and couldn't do it, because I can't do it now either. But what I did notice is that none of those squares can be 7 or part of a domino that sums to 7, because 3 and 4 have already appeared in this region, 2 and 5 have appeared, and it can't be a 1, 6 pair. So none of those squares are associated with this clue. But what I'd missed was that I could put 3 and 4 here, I think. I can't make this square part of the 7, because then it would need to repeat a digit. So I still don't think I can do it, actually, because one of these squares is black. Yeah, that's right. So, okay, what I should have done, I think, is when I got that there was a 2 in one of those, I also got that there was a 5, 6 in one of these. So this is actually a sort of 2 black square domino. Now, if we were going to try and make the 7 a 3, 4 pair, which is the only way I think that we can legitimately think about doing it in a domino. We can't use 2, 5 because it would repeat the 5. We can't use 1, 6 because the 1 isn't available. We can't use 1, 2, 4. So if we try and do a 3, 4 pair in this row, even if that's the 2, we can't do it because that's a black square. And if we put 3, 4 there, it's connecting to this region, which is no good. So if we make this the 2, we could make this square a 3 or a 4, but then it's part of the sequence that contains the 2. So it doesn't work at all. There's just no way to do it, is there? Because one of these squares is black, you always end up touching this region if you try and put a 3, 4 domino into the row. It's quite hard to see, actually. Forgive me. When I thought glibly that this was obvious, it was far from obvious. I'm just double checking in my brain. There is no way of doing it. There is no way of putting a 3, 4 domino, given we can't touch any of these green cells. We've got to put 3, 4 and 2 in there, with the 2 separated from the 3 and the 4, and yet the 2 is in the middle of the sequence. That might be the most elegant way I can state it. So we have to put solitary 7 into this row. Where can we put that? Well, not there, because it won't add up. It'll add up to 8. Not in those squares. There's already a 7 in one of those squares, so that's going to repeat the 7 in this region. Not here, believe it or not, because there's a given 7, not a given 7. That's probably a very hard-earned 7 there. And we know one of these is a 2 and one of these is a black square. So not there either. So only there. That is a 7. And that's therefore green. But also it's green, and it has to be framed by black squares in order to add up to 7. So that square has to now become black, which means it is not the 2. This is the 2 which becomes green. Therefore, that has to be the 5, 6 pair. This has to be the 8, 1, 2 triple. That's got to be a black square to make the 11 framed. This hasn't reached 9 cells yet. It's reached 7 cells, so those 2 become the end of the region, and we've not put 3 and 4 into that region. So all of a sudden, we get a flurry of activity. This 7 is still not bounded, so that's not the 6 now that we know exists in one of these squares. This 7 has to get out to reach a total of 9 squares. My yin-yang puzzles I've been doing a lot of recently makes me want to join these up, but that's not going to be legitimate. Okay, Um, right, so now I can read all of them. I can read all of these clues because the stars are totally useless. I love that I can say that with a smile on my face, even though under the surface I'm thinking, okay, all right, I could have done this before, couldn't I? How could that double question mark clue? Oh no, it's the wrong way round. No, I've done so sad. Oh, I was about to say we couldn't extend it because then it would have to be 2, 3, 5 and add up to 10. It needs to add up to at least 10, Simon. Oh, bobbins. All right, I'm going to do that. I am going to do the same logic, but I'm going to do it vertically then. Those 3 squares. We know that this sequence is part of this clue, because that must be part of the question mark clue. So this sequence, if I extended it one more cell, it would be at least 2, 3, 5, and it would add up to 10. That's just fine. Oh, Simon, no, my brain's gone already now, hasn't it? 46 minutes in, my brain's deserted me. This is not good. This is not good. Okay, what on earth am I meant to do now then? I have not got a clue. Literally not got a clue. Alright, I've got one thing. That clue. Oh, even that doesn't work, what I was about to say. What I was about to say is that if that's the 6, I can't make 10 in that domino, because 4 isn't available there. But then I thought maybe I could do 1, 3, and I can in fact avail myself of a 1 in this row because I need 1 and 4 in it. Okay, so that is something, isn't it, I think. So if we look at these, well, here's the question. Is this square black? If that square's black, this has to add up to 10, and we can't have more digits in here because we know that this is reaching its quorum of 9 cells as a result of the 1 and the 4 in row 1, this sextuplet of 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9 in row 2, and the 6 which lives somewhere in row 3. So we can't be coming down here. So if this square is black, this 10 clue has to be a domino, with 6 being the only available digit in row 3. That doesn't work because we can't put 4 in here. So that square is green, and it's a 1 or a 4. And it's part of the 5 clue. So one of these 2 squares is 1 or 4, which means that these squares are black and they are not 1s and 4s. But here is the problem. This square could still be green and be a 6 if that's a 3 and that's a 1. So I can't, even though I can get that in, I don't know if I can get this in as well. And then we've got a 13 here. Well, that's... no. I was about to say, surely that means that's green, but that doesn't follow. Because I could do 13 in a domino there using a 6 here and a 7 here, like that. So that could be 6, 7. And then that would be a 1 or a 4, and that would go to a devil clue, which means that we would be completely off the hook. So I cannot prove this is green, even though it's part of a 13 clue. Can I prove that's... If I could prove that was green... No, I can't, because I could do 4, 9 here. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So this 13 clue, even though it looks like it's trying to be helpful, is in fact being annoying. Wow, okay. Okay. Then what on earth do we do next? I think I have done this 5 clue now. I think I've thought about that enough. I know there's a 1-4 pair here. I've got to keep this down to a single digit total without using 1 or 4. It could still be a 2-3 pair. This corresponds to that and is therefore unrestricted. We've just been thinking about these 2 clues. Then we've got a star clue. Then we've got a star clue. Do we know? Well, no, we don't. Star clue, even if this was part of an 11, it could be 2 cells still, or it could be a single cell. Probably is a single cell. 4 here would sort this out. I've done those 2 clues. Okay. And then this clue, I'm going to take some delight in making red, because this column is now totally and utterly unclued to all intents and purposes. We've got a 20 clue here. 20, we could do it with 4, 7, 9, couldn't we? So we could do it with just 3 cells, so that's actually useless. Bobbins. Right, okay, so now I'm really getting stuck. Really getting stuck. Sorry. Let me just think about this for a second or two. Right. I think I've got to do something with this somehow. I've got 6 cells in it. I was wondering about the 2 13s at the top of this. Can I make both of those black or not? I think I can actually. 2, 3, 5. Oh, good grief! Right. Here is a little tiny point. This is very difficult. I've been looking at this string of digits, haven't I? And thinking, and I worked out before that I could make that cell green by making this 2, 3, and 5. It's the only way it could add up to 10 if this is green. But if I did that, these 2 squares would be at least 6 plus 7. And they wouldn't equal a single digit total. There has to be a 2 or a 3 in here. So this cannot be a 3-digit total. It must be a 2-digit total. And I think that might be interesting in this column, because now whatever pokes out here has to be part of something that adds up to 13. But so it would have to be a maximum of a 3-cell sequence. Can I say anything about where it goes? Does that cell therefore have to be green? I think it does. If that cell was black, this cell would have to be green. And I don't think we can't run this green into here to get to 13, because this cell can never be part of this region without making the region too big. Right, so there is a tiny deduction. That cell's definitely green. So now I've got 7 cells in this region. I've got a 2-cell sequence here. Which could be important, maybe. These 2 digits add up to 10, and they're not 1, 9, and they're not 4, 6. So they are either 2, 8, or 3, 7 for sure. don't think that's putting any pressure on this digit, unfortunately. Oh no. Sorry, if you're all spotting this as well, I apologise for my ineptitude here. What's going on? I know one of these digits has to be... Oh, I see. Okay. One of those digits has to be a 2 or a 3. Because if it wasn't, given one of these digits is a 2 or a 3, well, we'd have 5 or 6 minimum there, and they're supposed to add up to a single digit total. So there's a 2 or a 3 here, and there's a 2 or a 3 here. So this digit is at least a 5. Okay, well that's quite good, I think, because doesn't that mean this cell has to be not in? Because, yeah, this is at least a 5, because we've used 1, 2, 3 and 4 between those 6 cells. So if this was also green, this must correspond to one of these 2 question marks. This would be at least a 6, and it wouldn't add up to a single digit total. So that square is definitely grey. And that's, I want to say this square can't be a 7 or an 8 actually, because it would then, it's going to be adding to at least a 5. So that's a tiny point as well. Ah, I don't know what I did there. I want to just make that square 2 or 3. That square is therefore 7 or 8, which takes all the pressure off this digit, unfortunately. That's at least 5. And it's that's part of a sequence that's adding up to 13, I think. Because this, yeah, this is part of a sequence. This is adding to 13 that's not part of this sequence. I can't get 13 in the middle here and argue that this is part of a 9. So this is part of a 13 sequence. Yeah, okay. Where does 9 go in this region? That's quite an interesting question. Yeah, where does 9 go? 9 can't go in a 2-cell domino because it'll add up to more than a single digit total. 9 can't go here because we know we're adding at least... Oh, can that be a 9? Hang on, I've forgotten. When I've written 5 in here, I was thinking if I put a 9 in one of those, I'd be adding 5 to it, and it would add up to too many. Well, actually, I still can't put 9 in here. Even if this is the 9. If this is the 9, I've got to somehow add some cells to this to make 13. But I'm not allowed to use 1 or 4. So if I want to do it in 1 digit, I need a 4. If I want to do it in 2 digits, I need a 1 and a 3. Neither of that, they don't work. So the 9 in this region is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got to be here or here. It's got to be in one of those 2 cells. It's got to be, because it's got to attach orthogonally to either this square or this square once this is part of a domino that adds up to 13. So this is really, really interesting. 9 is in one of those 2 squares. So 9 is not here. In my brain, I thought we'd thought that there was a way that one of these, was it this one that I thought could involve the 9? Oh, I can't remember now. If we know that's yeah, no, this is important. If this is a 4, then how was this ever going to work if that was a 4? I've gone mad. I've gone absolutely mad. Sorry. I'm now worried about the logic I did earlier. No, why haven't... Did I just take 9 out of here? Is that why? Is that why I'm so confused? Yes. Hang on. Let me just... Yes, I did. Okay. Right. Okay. No, hang on. That still doesn't work. Oh, now, what's going on? Now, I think I've broken it. I think I've broken the puzzle. What have I done wrong there? I don't understand how I've got 1 and 4 into that square. I must have done that thinking about the 10 clue. So let's put the 9 back in there before I got these 9s. So that could be a 1. And it could be 1, 3, 6. Or it could be 1, 9. But it would have to always be a 1. How could that have been a 4 ever? It could never have been a 4 because I can't put 6 in here. And I can't add another digit which would have to be a 6 to it. So that was always a 1. Oh dear. Well, maybe it's not broken then. But now... Well, now that's not a 9. So we know that this string of digits now to add up to 10 has got to involve that digit. So that's got to be 6, that's got to be 3. Okay, well at least we might not be dead. That's therefore got to be a black square, which means it's not 9. So this is 9. If that's true, this is all green, which means we've now got the entirety of this region. We can frame it orthogonally in black squares. That squares become green. All of those become not 6 and in fact black squares because this region's done once we get the 4 in place. Oh, and we can now do the 4 because that must be the 4 because it's got to be part of a 13 clue. We can't just write 13 into that square. So that becomes 4, that becomes 9, that becomes nothing at all, i.e. a black square, that becomes green. 9 comes out of all these squares by sudoku. And let's just pause here. And oh, okay, this is a bit terrifying. That 9 cannot be part of the 6th clue. So the first clue seen from this direction must be here or here. Or just here. Bobbins. Okay. One of those squares at least is green. Can I do more in this region of the grid, therefore? These two squares add up to 13, and they're not 4, 9, so they're either 5, 8, or 6, 7. Oh dear, oh dear. Come on. These add up to 13. Okay, that clue's done. Let's redify this. That clue's done. That clue's done, look. That question mark clue. We almost didn't need that. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that was forced without that question mark clue. Okay, so this clue is effectively done because the fact that this has been narrowed down to 2, 5, 7 or 8 means it will complete that clue without us thinking about it. This clue's well, I suppose I haven't really done it because I need to make sure these add up to the right number. There's a virtual 7-8 pair between those digits, isn't there? Because that's a 7 or an 8 and that's the other of 7 or 8. So this domino, which contains one digit that's a 2 or a 3, also contains a 5 or a 6. So if it's a 6, it would have to be here. But if it's a 5, I think it can be anywhere. And I don't think this clue is giving me any joy, because even if this was a very low... Well, the only thing that would be ruled out by this clue is a 2-7 pair. That would be ruled out. Oh, that can't be 8, actually, I've just seen. Because if that's 8... This well, one of those question mark clues is broken, depending on what this corresponds to, because it would add up to a double-digit number. So that's definitely not 8, which means this is definitely not 5. So, has that helped me? Please. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm trying desperately hard to spot how to do this, and I'm making an absolute pig's ear of it. This square is not a 2. Let's resort to that sort of thing. 2 here would put 3-7 here. 5-8 here. So 6. Hang on, that didn't work, I don't think. Oh, it's easy. No, it's not easy at all. No, it's not easy at all. It's not easy at all because these aren't really pencil marked clues. I was suddenly thinking I could place 6 in this domino, but I don't think that's valid, is it? Because that could be a 6. And then I'd have to make that a 3, I think. 6. No, that doesn't work, actually. Gosh, that's tricky. I don't think that can be a 6, because if it was a 6, that digit would have to be a 3 in order to keep this down to a single digit total, because it can't be 2. So this would be a 6-3 pair. But now, because that becomes a 2 and that becomes an 8 to add up to 10, that has no option, because we can't use the 6, we've used it here, and we can't use the 8. So in fact that's not a 6, and that means in this region the 6 is down here in the domino that adds up to 13. So we now redify this. We make this have to be equal 6, 7, whoopsie, which means that's got to be 8 and that's got to be 2 by mathematics, which means this has got to be 3 and 5, I want to say. Which rules 3 out from the rest of this row here. I don't think that does anything, unfortunately. Wow. Wow, okay. Right, we've done that 10 clue. That's going to get readied now, because this is done. This 8 clue is done. That's corresponding to the top clue there. Every digit we're eking out is like hard won. It's fantastic, but it's going to mean this is about the longest video in Christendom. Come on, Simon. Let's think. Use your brain. What are we now being asked to understand? I do know one of these is green, don't I? Because that can't add up to 6. Can we... I don't know. I'm sure there's something obvious I'm meant to be spotting here, but I have no idea what it is. Okay, here is a small point in this row. this row actually does have some sensible stuff in it. In fact, I'm actually going to get rid of this clue and redify it and that one, because those two clues are effectively dealt with by those, which means that this clue is part of a 5 clue, which means it's low digits, isn't it? Now that's interesting, because now I can get rid of 2 and 3 from here, because we know that there are 3s in this little sort of X-wing shape, so I can't add a third 3 to these 2 rows of the grid without definitely forcing a repeated 3. So the way that we're going to get to 5 in this cell is either with a domino that's a 1-4 pair or with a solitary 5, and that means those 2 squares are definitely grey, which is a little tiny point of potential interest. Oh, you know what I haven't done? This clue. That clue's a 30. Oh my goodness me. Right, hang on. In fact, look, this is great. This is great. No. Yeah, no, right. It is great. It is just great. But by the skin of its teeth it's great. I tell you, this puzzle would be really easy to make a mistake on, because I almost there said that square's got to be green. And I thought I'll just check that this couldn't correspond to that clue. And that would mean this would correspond to that clue at least, making this square black, and putting 4 squares there as green to deal with this clue, which is a 3 question mark clue. And you might instantly say, well, that's not going to work, but it could have worked. It could have worked. If that was 6, 7, 8, 9, it would have added to 30, which would have equated to this, except the only thing that stops that is that 7, which would be repeated in the region. So in fact, it is fair to say that that square is green, because it must be. It must correspond to this, otherwise we get a repeated 7 in this region. So that region's got to get out. Bar humbug. Yeah, okay. No, this is good. This is good. I'm now going to come back to this clue again. Because if that clue, which is a single digit total, extended to here, if we went, then this would be at least 2 plus 3 plus 5, which is 10. So that square's black, which means these squares have to get out. That's a double digit square, so that gets out. This one is a single digit total, but we don't know what goes in here, do we? I don't think we do. We do know this is a domino adding to 6 now, so that square's got to be a 1 or a 4, because you either need a 1 or a 4 in a domino that adds to 6, because you're either looking at 1, 5 or 2, 4. So this square is 2 or 5. Which means that square can't be a 9. Alright, okay. But I think what we can do now, we should be able to green at least some of these squares. Because, well, yeah, even if this was 30 now, we couldn't do it in just 4 cells, because we'd need to use the 7, which is gone. So it's at least a 5-cell string of greenlinesses along here. And that means whether we start there or there, we're definitely picking up all of those as green. So that definitely feels like a decent deduction. Now. Well, I'm almost wondering whether the point here, whether we can use mathematics on this, because this digit is at least a 3. So the minimum sum of this domino is 8, 11, plus 30 something. If that was just 30, we'd be at 41 for the row. Okay, that's not great. I thought maybe I could argue that there was definitely, you know, some forced digit in here. There probably does have to be. Oh yeah, actually maybe it is forced a bit, because we need to get some number of digits along here, which could be all of them, to add up to at least 30. So, but we can't use 7 is what I was thinking. So, but we don't need necessarily to have a 9 in there. If we go 8, 7, no, we can't use 7. 8, 6, 5. 8, 6, 5, that's 19. 4, 3, 2, that's not enough. That's only 28. So there is a 9 in here somewhere, which not there. Ah, no. Okay, I've had another thought now. Actually, I've had 2 more thoughts. Well done, brain. Yeah, okay, here is a thought for us. How big can that really be? I'm thinking that because I've got 7 here in this region. I've got 5 here, which might be a domino or might just be a solitary 5. But that's so I've got 12 in this region between these cells. And I'm adding at least 30 more in these cells. So that's 42. So that's quite a lot, given the maximum size of the region is 45. So this can't be that massive. And even if we minimized it, even if we kept it down to 30, we've still got a maximum of 3 digits summing to 3 in the rest of this one's region. Now, here's a thought. I was thinking about that square. If that square's green, this string of digits down here is adding up to 20 at least. But I've just said that the maximum number of extra cells I could put down here is 3, because otherwise this is going to break the 45 total. Now if I put 3 in there, that's going to have to be a 17. That doesn't work. So that square is, I think, a black square. And now that square's got to be green, because we know we were looking for at least a 5-cell sequence. And now well, now what? Now do I need a 9? If I don't have a 9, now I think I needed a 9 before, so 9 is definitely in here. I must have to have 8 as well. If I don't have 8, 9, 6, 5. 9, 6, 5. No, that's nowhere near 30. So we've got to have 8. I wonder if we have to have 6. If we don't have 6 or 7, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3 is only 29. Oh, right. So you can't make, well, there's 2 ways to see this. You can't make that 6, because it would knock 6 out of here and force this to never get to a 30 total. Or you can look at it from that perspective and work out you need to have a 6 in it. So that's got to be a 7. That's 7. That's got to be a 6. Which is potentially interesting. He says, desperately trying to work out why. What is it? Did I need a 6 in there? Is that what I just worked out? I think it was, wasn't it? So let's put that pencil mark in. Yes, I did work that out. Right, so this is right. So 3 of these digits add to 23. So the other digits have to be oh, I know what this will be. This will somehow, this is going to somehow relate to the fact that this needs to consume either a 5 or the 4. isn't it? What I can't do here is put 98654 in, because that's going to I'm never going to be able to make my 5 total in this row if I do that. So the most this could be is now 98653. 98653, which is enough. Unfortunately, it's 31. Okay, no, alright, we're going to have to try something else, I'm afraid. Do I have to have a 5 in there? If I had to have a 5 in there, then I don't have to have a 5 in there. I could have 98643, couldn't I? And that wouldn't break that if that's a 5. Ah, bobbins. Okay, right. Right, there are more clues we can tick off here. We can... Well, that digit's restricted by sudoku, of all things, actually. What can that be? It can't be 1, 2. It could be 3. It can't be 4. It could be 5. It can't be 6, 7, 8 or 9. That is 3 or 5 only. And we've got to keep... Well, you can't double 5 that ever, so that's never going to be good enough. We could... this is corresponding to this, after which we've got to put 8 and 9 in this column. But they could be single digits, couldn't they? 9, black square, 8, black square, and we haven't forced anything there. No, I'm wrong. I'm totally wrong. I am totally wrong. Right, that's lovely. Can I put 9 in there? No. It's similar to that 5 thing at the top. If I put 9 in there, how on earth does it work? It obviously meets this clue criteria, if I put 9 there. And it meets this criteria, because it's a single digit total. But I'd have to ring it on all sides by black digits. And that doesn't work, because it would then not be a 9-cell region. So if this is green, it's not 9. So it would have to have a 2-digit total. And then we'd have to go black square 8, black square question mark. So it's forced, I think. I cannot make this a single digit 9. And I don't think I can fit digits in. If I make this a black square, then this could be a 9. No, I think I run into the same problem here. I then have to ring it like that. But let's say I could do that. Then that would be black square. That would be 8. No, okay, all right. I still think there's a problem, but the problem moves up to here. We have to ring that one. So what does this mean, though? So that means that was if this was black, wasn't it? If this was a black square, I don't think we can put 9 and 8 into this column. 9. This square is definitely ringed, I think. It is. Yeah. Okay, so that what we learn from this is that this is green, for sure. We know it can't be a solitary 9 for the reasons we explained, so it has to extend one upwards, which makes this a black square, that a green square, that a black square, and this corresponds to an 8. Oh. Ah, and now this has to get out. I so want to avoid a checkerboard here. So these add up to 9. And they're not 1, 8, they're not 3, 6, and they're not 4, 5. So those squares are 2 and 7 out of absolutely nowhere. So that digit by Sudoku is now definitely worth noting. It's going to be 1, 4, 6 or 9. Oh, botheration. I mean, it can even be 1, because that could be 9, and that would get us to a double-digit total. Oh dear, dear, dear. Okay, what about this clue? Those two squares add up to at least 10. That could be 10, couldn't it? There's no reason why it couldn't be. Oh, this is the... I should have redified that clue right at the beginning to avoid it annoying me at moments like this. What a puzzle, though, isn't it? I mean, what's fascinating about this is you can feel how it's been constructed. You know, it's literally being constructed looking at the top rows and then sort of eking out. And I imagine Phistomefel sort of sitting in his tower, you know, stroking his beard and looking through his beady glasses, and then experimenting with adding, like, star clues all over the place and sniggering. Right, that clue's done, so that gets red. That clue's done, so that gets red. So we just get left with this middle bit. Ah, that can't be 9, because that would grow to be too large a total. There's a tiny deduction. So that's 1, 4 or 6 now. It can't be a 4, 6 pair, but that allows me no pencil marks. Well, does it? Does it mean there's a 1 in that? I suppose it does. There has to be a 1, otherwise it would be a 4, 6 pair. So that's almost interesting. Ah! Okay. I've got... what am I meant to do? I think it must be over here again. Have I missed a clue that I'm meant to focus on here? All these stars at the top of the columns. Do I know what this total is? 30 something. 4. I can't put 4 and 5 in there. Oh, that's become 3, 5 now. Hang on, wasn't that one of the options I was looking at for this? Hang on. I've got 23 in 3 of these cells. I'm not allowed to use 4, 5 because that will break the 5 clue. I'm not allowed to use 3, 5 because that will break that cell. And I can't use 5 and 2 because that will break that cell. So I can't rely on 5, can I? Because if I put 5 in, I've got nothing to pair it up with. That's amazing. That is an amazing deduction. If I put 5 into that total, I can't pair it up with another digit that gets me high enough without breaking something else. So there is no 5 in this string of digits. So it has to be 4 and 3 because I need 7 more to add on to my 6, 8, 9. Wow. Okay, that is sick. That is absolutely sick. No, it's not 7, 8, 9. It's 6, 8, 9. So this is not 4 now, which means this So that is a solitary 5 because it can't be a 1, 4 pair because I've just used the 4 and getting up to 30 here. So those two squares turn black. This square is now a 5 by Sudoku, which means this square is a 2 by Sudoku. This 5 means I get a 5 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4. And, oh, this has to add up to 6, so that becomes a 4. We said that had to be a 1 to avoid that breaking. So that gets finished. I think we can do a lot of finishes now. That's become finished. That is a single digit total, thank goodness. That's become finished. That is a 30 clue exactly. It's the only thing we could get it to reach. Now, hang on. We've not put 1 and 2 in this. Ooh, we haven't put 1 and 2 in this region. Now that's quite interesting because I can't put 2 in this row, and that means there's got to be a 1 in this row in one of those squares with a 2 underneath it in sort of a domino like this. That's the only way that this is going to be able to grow to reach its required size. So, right, we've done that clue. The star clue we don't know about. The 3 clue, well, that's fascinating. That's absolute. This is a beautiful clue because I can place that because we've just worked out that we can't put a 1-2 pair in this row. So it's a solitary 3 and it can't connect to a region that's already got 3 in it, and it can't be in column 12 where there's already a 3. So I think there's only one place it can go, which is there, which means that square's got to be black, that square's got to be black, this square's got to get out, that can't be the 1, which means that can't be the 2. So we've almost sort of learnt things about the world here. That's part of a 20 clue, so it's got to come down at least 1 square. Okay, no, it's got to come down at least 2 squares, because the only way this could have been a 20 clue is if it was 3, 8, 9, and it can't be. So it's got to come down at least 3 squares. Which is potentially interesting. All right, now let's go back to ticking off my clues. I can. Well, okay, that clue, look, is not that clue, because that doesn't add up to 11. So there's got to be an 11 down here somewhere. So if that was the 1-2 pair, oh, it still could work. That could be the 11 black square. That would be the final question mark. So we can't rule out the 1 and the 2. This one's got the dreaded star at the top. This has got the dreaded star at the top. This has got a dreaded star at the top. This one is a 1 question mark clue, and that square is... Ah, no, look at that square. That is a double question mark clue, and we've got a 1 in this position. So that's got to be a 9. That's the only way that can work. That's a slightly terrifying 9, because it was very stark the way that suddenly jumped out at us. Almost like it was sort of overly forced. That can't be 2 or 8. Okay, now we're pairing that up with... Well, okay, we've got 5 digits now in this. So that square is 3, 6 or 7, because it can't be 8. Oh, we've got the dreaded star clue. Ah, that clue's done. That's this one. Which, is that important? I don't know. Come on, Simon. Come on, Simon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could join that up with that. 7, 8. We'd still have one degree of latitude to play with. Wow. That square's got to be green, I think, because look, we've got a 16 clue here, which can't... We've got a 9 in this row, so we can't do 7, 9 pair here. So it's at least a 3-cell sequence involving this square, which I think means this square is definitely green, but it doesn't help us. Does it mean... Oh, well, no, actually it does help us. That square being green means that can't be the 2, and that therefore that can't be the 1, because we'd be connecting these regions together. So that is a little tiny bit interesting. So that square is now a black square, I suppose, is the corollary of that. One of these is the 1, one of these is the 2. I tell you something that's slightly terrifying about this, and that is the nature of these clues at the bottom. There's no numbers in any of them. There's just a lot of stars and a lot of question markage. which is very concerning indeed. I don't know where to look. Oh, 1 hour 30. Oh, right, this is a long video. This is a long old video. What am I meant to do now? Right, that 3 is done. Right, and it's got a star in the middle, so we can just instantly say that's done. We've got a 16 here, which we know is over here somewhere. Then we've got stars, which are useless. Where would I think it is if I'm looking at the puzzle now? Where would I would think it's either which one of these is the 1 and the 2. I don't see how to tell that. That square's not 6, look, by sudoku. I've got to put a double-digit clue at the bottom, but a double-digit clue could be a domino, so I don't think I even know that this digit is definitely a green digit. I've got to put 9. A 9, okay. 4. Nearly interesting. It's almost possible to say that the 9 in this column must be a 3-cell clue, because what we can see is it can't be 7, 2, 3, 6 or 4, 5. So the only thing it could be is a 1-8 pair, if it's a domino. Otherwise it's a 3-cell sequence. This star at the bottom is horrific. Okay, but that one question mark clue is applying to this digit, isn't it? But I think this clue's already completed, if you like, as a result of this. Oh, hang on, that's an interesting thought. Ooh, okay. If that, I'm not sure about this yet. I'm just going to put that in. I'm just going to make that black for a moment. How does this 8 connect up with its friends? It can't do it. Nah, that's it. Right. If this is a black square, this 8 has to connect to something else to reach 9 cells. And the minimum number of cells it can take in this column is 3, but the digits we'd be using would be 3, 6 and 7 as a minimum, and 3, 6 and 7 sum to a lot, 16, which is definitely more than a single digit total. So in fact that square's green, and that square is the same as that one, so that is 3, 6 or 7. Right, so now one of these is a 3. Because if it wasn't, this would be 6, 7 and 9, which is 22, which is not one question mark. So one of those is a 3. Does that mean we can rule this out? Yes, that must be true, because this is under the same sudoku constraint as the 2 cells above it. So if that was in, we'd be adding all those digits up, and it would definitely add to too much. So that's going to have to be a bad digit, well, a black cell. Don't look at this, that's not going to help. And therefore, what do we do now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got one more cell to add to this region. It could be there. Do we know what digit it is? It's a 3, 6 or a 7. So if it was... Oh, that's again, it's so twisted, this logic that he finds in these puzzles. That's so clever. Right, neither of these squares now is capable of joining this region, because to join this region they would have to be either a 6 or a 7, which they can't be by sudoku, or a 3, which they can't be because the 3 must be there to stop that getting too big. So those 2 squares are not in. That square is how that region completes, which means this square, it doesn't matter, we don't know what it is. It's a 6 or a 7, but it's framed by black squares now. And oh, lovely. Yeah, there are none of the dreaded clues in this column. There are no stars. So that clue corresponds to that. And that means those two squares are definitely black at the bottom. And that gets redified. Oh, that's a bit of a... Well, that feels like a charm we've just experienced. Right. So this clue is that, isn't it? And it can be anything, I think. Yeah, only just. Only just. If it's 3, 7 and 9, it's only just a bit still fulfilling its one question mark criteria. So these two clues are done because we don't know what the star means at the bottom. Unfortunately. And we've got a 2-7 pair down here. And those, well, these correspond to these clues. So, what does that mean? Right, I don't know quite, but it does mean that I don't actually think it does mean what I was about to say I thought it meant. So I'm sort of reluctant to say that now. Okay. Okay, this 9 clue, let's use this. Because somehow or other I seem to have got this down to a stretch of 3 white cells. Now 9's gone in the column, so it's at least a domino, which means that square's definitely green. So if that square was green, that would have to be a 2. Because it couldn't be a 7, because it's corresponding to a single digit total, and adding 2 more digits that is obviously going to break that. So if that's green, that's a 2, that's a 7. Don't know. I don't know what that means, unfortunately. Okay. Wow. I mean, where am I meant to look now? Everywhere I look, I see stars. Star at the bottom of that one. How many regions have I got? 1, 2, 3, sort of 4, sort of, well, that is 5 in fact. I'll give that one a 6th region. So this is my 7th region. So I've still got 2 more regions to put into all this white space at the bottom. Is that going to be tricky-ish? Okay. What could it be? I don't feel I know at all where I'm meant to look again. It's quite terrifying, this puzzle. I'm going over the clues in my brain again, one more time each, and I'm just not seeing. There's nothing that even feels under pressure. It's weird. One, 2, 7, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I mean the digits that are down here are from 1, 4, 5 and 6 by Sudoku, I think. Because they can't be 2 or 3 or 8, 9. Hang on, that's implying I haven't found enough digits. 1, 3, 4, 5, 2, 7. Yeah, that is right. So 2, 3, 7, 8 and 9 are knocked out. 1, 4, 5 and 6. So is that in some way interesting? Or is there, am I meant to be thinking about... I mean, questions like, a question that does occur to me is, where does 9 go in this region? Because there are a lot of places it can't go. It seems the earliest it could go would be into this column. But that would be mildly interesting. Is there... Sorry, I'm just not getting it. I apologise if you're all completely spotting what I'm missing here. Is it something to do with where 7 goes here? Wherever 7 goes. I might just have to experiment with this for a moment. If that's 7 and that's 2. Now, well, then that square would clearly have to be out. These two would have to be in, and yet they would have to add up to a single digit total. So that square would then have to be out. But the problem is that it could be that way round, couldn't it? If it's that way round, is there some reason why this gets tricky? Or am I not understanding it? That's very possible. I keep thinking about the possibility of sort of 2, 4, 3 here, 7, 1 here. Although everything like... if those are both in, does this 9 then run into problems? That's the other question I'm sort of grappling with. I just can't quite see it. I know that this 9 is under some pressure. Oh, does it have to have a 1? Oh, that's it. Oh, that's lovely. Ah. Oh, that's really clever. Okay. All right. Sorry. I have been going at this now for a while, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit tired. But look, let's think about this, because I think it's huge, actually. So let's think about this string of digits, or domino of digits, and ask how we're going to make the 9 total work. Now, if we're using dominoes, we can't use 4, 5, we can't use 3, 6, we can't use 2, 7, so we know that we're looking at a 1, 8 pair. But if we're looking at a 3-cell total, we can't use a 4, so it can't be 2, 3, 4. In other words, those cells certainly contain a 1, and if they contain a 1, that must be part of this one's region, so these two squares now lose their ability to become 1, and that means that wherever the 7 goes, and we don't know where the 7 goes, but the 7 has got to therefore have a black square next to it, because otherwise it's going to be too large. Now the 2, whichever one of these is a 2, well, here's some more news. Or is it? Actually, I might be wrong about what I was about to say. So I know there's a 1 down here. Can't quite get my head around it. I just can't quite see it. I'm close, I think, now. I'm closer than I was. I know one of these is a 1. But it could still be this dreaded 1-8 combination. Or, if it's not 1-8, what is it? It can't be 1-2-6. So it would have to be 1-3-5. So that digit is either 1, 3, 5 or 8. But it can be all of them, I think. Okay. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just not being clever enough here, am I? It's very distressing, trust me. Where does 3 go in this bottom region? That's another interesting question. It could go in here with a 1, 3, 5, but if it doesn't, again, like the 9, it's got to be over here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, hang on. Oh my goodness me. Okay, well that's very, very hard. That is very, 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 very hard. Wow. Okay, well, I wasn't even looking at this column, but I think this is where I'm meant to look. Right, here is the question. Here is the blockbuster question. In this column, there are some green digits at the bottom. We don't know where they are, but there are some green digits. Is it possible they are not part of this region? Well, no, it's not possible, because even if all of those squares are green, that's only 7 cells of green. There need to be 9. So this is corresponding to this region, which means it's got the digits we're selecting, this double-digit total from, are 4s, 5s and 8s. So somewhere in that column, we're allowed to use the digits 4, 5 and 8 to make up the total, the double-digit total that we need to apply to these. Now, if 8 was not involved in that total, it would be a maximum of 4 plus 5. And 4 plus 5 is not a double-digit total. So there is an 8 in this region in those squares, which means there is not a 1-8 pair here, which means that the way we're getting to 9 now is we can't use 4, we can't use 2, we need a 3-cell sequence, and it has to be, you've guessed it, 1, 3, 5. Now that means there's no 5 over here now, because that was going to break, and that means that the way we're getting to this double-digit total over here is via 4 and 8 exactly. Which means that square cannot be in, because we can't reach it from these 3 squares, given we're only allowed 2 of these to be green. Now there's no 5 in here, because we've used the 5 here. There's no 4 in here, because we've used the 4 here. So the only valid digit now in this domino is 6. And we must have one valid digit, because otherwise we can't connect the domino to other areas of its region. So there is no 6 here. That has become a 6. This is definitely a 3-7 pair. Fixing the top of the grid with a 5. Oh, is this it? Have we finally cracked the puzzle? One of these is a 6. I don't know which one. The other one is has to be a black square, because we've only got one valid digit down here. So I'll put 6 into one of those squares. So now in this box, we've got 4, 8 here. We've got to put a 9 into this region. We've got to put a 9 in the region. So the 9 must orthogonally connect to the 4 or the 8 over here. So there's a 9 in one of those. That's no longer a 9. Right. So what does this mean? I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. It means that okay. All right. So the way right. Okay. So the way that the 2 and the 7 escape is via a bridge of a 6 in a 1-cell total. So it's the 2 that escapes via the 6. So we must go 2, 6, 1. Either there or there, which means there's a 1 in one of these, and that square is not a 1. So it goes 2, 6, 1, and then a black square, but I don't know where the black square is. Oh, but hang on. Yeah, okay, so that square can't be a 4 or an 8 now, can it? Because we know there's just one domino, one 4-8 domino down here. So if I made that a 4 or an 8, that would be a 4 or an 8 as well. And I couldn't have a black square in one of these squares to pin in my 2, 6, 1 triple adding to 9, which I can't extend. So that is not 4 or 8. Now if that's not 4 or 8, and we know that we've got a domino of 4 and 8, that square is a 4 or an 8. So we're closing in very slowly. But we've got a stupid star clue. Oh no, so I don't know whether this is a single digit total or not. Would have been very handy because we could have got rid of 8 from there. Oh, I can get rid of 8 from here by sudoku. That's not 8. So 9 can't be here anymore, look, because we know that the 9 has to connect orthogonally to the 4 or the 8, wherever they actually live, which is potentially important, he says, trying to work out quite why. Right, okay, so this question mark clue now, we know it's 2 of those 3 squares, so those squares both turn black. Now, does that tell us what's going on or not? I don't know. I don't know, I'm afraid. One of these is 2, 6, 1. One of them is 7 on its own. So one of these is consumed by a 7. One of them is basically a 9 total. So if that's 2, 6, 1, that becomes 7. That becomes a 3 or a 5, which is attaching to a 4 or an 8. How can that be 9? Is that the way to think about this? If that's 9, let me just think about this. If that's 9, I know that's green, so both of those are green. But that string of digits now must add up to more than 10. It must be one of these clues, because I can't put enough black squares into this string to make this clue not be one of those. Right. So that's a tiny, tiny deduction. That is not 9. So 9 is now in one of these 2 squares. Either would be very valuable to know, wouldn't they? If we knew it was this one, then this would be a 4-8 pair. We'd go, this region would be something like that. Oh, hang on a moment. Maybe these clues come into play. Oh, right, that is it. Oh my goodness me, right, this is so clever. I mean, it's not even funny how clever this is. Right, I don't think that can be 9, because I think there's something going on. Ignore the star clue. How ridiculous to have a star clue in a column. It's something to do with these 2, I think. Because we know that there's a 9 in one of these. So the question I've got for you is it possible that the 9 in one of these is not that clue? Surely it's not possible, is it? Because that would imply that I could squeeze into the bottom of this column a single digit clue
and a double-digit clue before I get to a 9. I clearly can't. So the 9 is this. It can't be that because it's a 9. It's a 9 on its own because it's completing this region. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 9th cell. So it is one of these clues. Now, if it was this one, that would be a black square. And then I need to put somewhere in this column a 2-digit total. There's no room for it. So that's the 9, which means those 3 squares are black. This is how the 9 gets out. I still don't know if I know which one of these is the 4 or the 8, but that feels like a hard won victory. This is now double green because it corresponds to that clue. That clue is done. That clue is black because there's no space beneath the 9. Oh, that was exciting for a moment, and now it's just died out. What about... I effectively know that's a 12, don't I? So I think we get rid of that. We've done that clue as well. We've got that clue I need to leave alone because it's these 2 cells, but I need to make sure they add up to enough to be a double-digit total. Okay. Alright, so that means what? Where should we look next? This puzzle, I feel it's almost getting harder as we get towards the end. I'm 2 hours into the video. It's going to be a movie if I can even finish it. Oh, look, I can. Well, I can't. No, I can't finish the puzzle, but I can see a next step. Because those have been greened, that can't be the 1, 2, because it would connect. This would be too big a region. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. So this is the 1, 2 pair to complete that region, which means that we can fence all that off. This has got to get out. So that's a load of new region building we've done. I want to connect these to its friends, but that's not how this puzzle works. Right. Okay, so the 16 clue here now has to extend because we can't put 7 and 9 into those squares. So that's that clue. Well, it's not done. No, I better not do it, actually. We've got to make sure those squares add up to 16 without using 9. Actually, that is interesting. Again, look, you can't put 8 in there. If you put 8 in there, the other 2 digits have to add up to 8, but we can't use 1, 7, 2, 6 or 3, 5. So there is no 8 in there. So does that mean 6, 5 and 4 only add up to 15? So there is a 7 in there. So it's 7 and then 2, well, it's 7, 4, 5. It's got to be 4, 5, 7. We need 2 digits that add up to 9 that don't use 3, 2 or 1. So we're not using 1, 8, 2, 7 or 3, 6. So that's 4, 5, 7. That digit now, by Sudoku, is either 3, 6 or 8. Oh, that's underwhelming. That's not 2 by Sudoku. Can we use those clues now? We've got the dreaded star at the top. 1 star. 1 black cell. Green black cell. Yeah, this region here is definitely a question mark clue because there aren't room for 3 question mark clues down here. So that little square there is not 8 or 9. That's 3, 4, or 6. Now here I've still got 11 clue to put in. So, okay, this might be good. Yeah, because this isn't 11. So if I start the question mark here, boom, those 2 squares would have to be the 11 at least. So that square is always green, which gives me another cell in this region. Right, and this hexamino here can't connect to that hexamino without creating a sort of triskaideka something region, which is more than 9 cells. So that doesn't that imply that's got to be a black cell? It does, of course it does. Oh, this is great. This is great. Okay, so that question mark clue needs another cell. So this is a 3-cell sequence that adds up to a single digit total. So that is quite tricky. It's either, well, all the digits in it are from 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 because they can't use 6, and we can't put 7 in because 7 plus 1 plus 2 is 10, and that's more than 9, which is the max single digit total. So let's see what we can get rid of. Almost nothing, unfortunately, from there. If that was a 3, might do some magic. Still don't know how all this white's at the bottom. Well, okay. Alright, I've still got no clue really what's going on, but I do feel at least the last couple of minutes have been productive, which is better than some of the minutes before that. This region down here, that was so difficult for me at least. Now, we might be getting to the point soon where we've got to think about how we're going to fit all the regions we need in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's one more region that's going to be living down here somewhere that can't touch its friends. Which, okay, those 2 digits are restricted by sudoku. They can't be 6, 8, and they can't be 3, 4, 5 or 7. So these digits are, I think, 1, 2 or 9 only, which would, actually, I'm going to check that because that might be wrong, because that seems to make this a 9. 1, 2, yeah, that is right. Okay, well that square is just a 9 then by sudoku. Which is, oh, is that putting pressure on this? Maybe. I mean, we know there's at least one low digit in here, possibly. Well, no, there's got to be 2 low digits, hasn't there? Because if we were just using 1, 4 and 5s, by 2 low digits, I mean 2 of the digits 1, 2 and 3. Because if there was only one of 1, 2 and 3, let's make it 1. The other 2 digits would be 4 and 5, and they would add up to 10. 1 plus 4 plus 5 is 10. So that square cannot be a 3. Because if it's a 3, I can only put 1 low digit in here. That feels like it's sensible logic, doesn't it? Doesn't do a great deal, but it still felt a relatively sensible point. Alright, let's try some more sudoku then. That digit can't be 1, 2 or 8. So it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 6, 7, 8 or 9. That is a 6. Oh, bobbins, it's not looking at anything. 1, 2, 3. One, two, 3. Yeah, okay, that square is black now. Because if it was green, it would need to, by sudoku, to be 4, 5 or 7. But this green region has a 4, 5, 7 triple in it. That's beautiful. Good grief. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I was hoping to get that one in, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to work. Oh, look, this clue. No. It's not, it's done. Whatever I put in there, it's done. That's just very irritating. Right, what about this now? This is part of an 11. What about if that square was... If that square was a black square, that would have to be green, that would have to be black, that would have to be green. Now, is that breaking the world? That could be a 3-8 pair. That could be anything. No, the answer is it's not breaking the world, so that's not how to think about this. What about... That 16 is done. Right, so so we're down to a situation now. Right, and well, oh no, that could be 1 or 2 and it'll reach its quota. I'm taking out that star clue. That's just there to annoy me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this region has to take at least 2 cells from here. Is that helpful? This we don't... Well, we know that this question mark clue is not that. So we've got to either have that or that's definitely green. Don't know which. This, I bet you there's a way that we can work out this stuff at the bottom now. I wish I knew how to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so if that was green, that row would have all the digits in it. So that would have to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. It would have to be 4, wouldn't it? Because we know that this is a 4-8 pair somehow. Okay, I don't think I can do that. Okay, so what about this clue then? Is that corresponding to that, or is it forcing these to both be green? If both of those were black, I don't think we can fit another region in here. And I say that because although at first blush it looks like there are 10 cells, there aren't, because this region hasn't reached its size yet, and it can take 1 cell there. It's going to have to take 2 of these at least, and whichever 2 it takes knock out cells down here, don't they? So it's going to knock 2 cells out of these. Those 3 cells. 2 of them will be knocked out, and we're going to be left with 7, 8 as a maximum, because we can't take that, it will touch the other region. So I think those 2 squares have to be green, and they correspond to this clue. So that's basically done, that's useless. Ah, hang on, that's got to be a double-digit total, but that can be 8 still. So that's not under any pressure. Rotten thing. I know it corresponds to that total. I'm almost wondering whether it's, it's worth just flashing that. I could do something like, that to just remind me that this clue is corresponding to this. No, that's less useful probably, but I will do it. Those squares have got to add up to a single-digit total, so I do still have to take quite a lot of care over this. Now, these 3 clues could be those 3. So that would force... Oh no, that would force all of these to be black. And that will trap these in. Ooh, okay. Okay. So there has to be something down here that corresponds to this clue, I think, because this is not good enough. Oh, unless it's all 3 of... No, it can't be all 3 of those, can it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No. Okay, so it's not those 3. So there is something down here that corresponds to this, that bridges this to something over here, I think. But... but where that is, I do not know. What about... I don't know. I don't even know where to look now. It's very, very tricky, this. If these 2 were those 2, that feels wrong to me, because that's going to have to be a black cell now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to... Yeah, that doesn't work, because this square is going to be green now in order to reach the... to make this large enough, and it's going to connect to those. Aha! So, if these 2 can't be green, those 2 must include that cell. So that's become a green cell. Now, this is part of this region that's very, very full of digits, isn't it? So we need 1s, 2s, and 8s. That's 1s... Oh, don't believe it. 1, 2, or 8, all possible apparently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 cells of this region. Well, okay, let me think about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 of these have to be in at least, and if not all 3 of them. So can I now say that can't be all 3 of them? That would be massive. If this is not all 3 of them, that's got to be in, and that's going to force that one not to be in. Right, if all 3 of those were green, all of those would not, you can't fit it in. This is massive, I think. I think this is huge. Just this digit is huge, or that being green is huge. I'm just going to triple check this because it's obviously fairly crucial. If these are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I took all 3 of those to complete this region, and I made that 9, all of those would be black. And how do I get 9 for this bottom region? The only way of doing it is to take that cell which connects it to another region. So these 3 are not all black. And it's going to be an even worse problem if we start dipping down into this row, because we can't connect this to the rest of its friends over there. We know that this is the 9th region. So that square, I think, has to be green, which means that square is not green. I still don't know whether this is in or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I must take 2 of these only. I thought actually that was going to be more profoundly important than it maybe has turned out to be. That's not 7 by sudoku. In fact, look, that's a naked single. It's a 5. I didn't spot that. There's 4 and 7 looking at it. I mean, I'm being so neglectful about sudoku. Okay, so maybe we can disprove this as a possibility, because that's going to take 2 possible cells out of this bottom area. Yeah, that doesn't work. That forces that to be the 9 that we take, but this region has to extend down and take 2 of these, so the 2 regions would connect. So that's most certainly nonsense. That square is black, which means that's the final square of this green region, which means this square is 1, 2, or 8, which means that, I mean, I don't think it means very much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this square by sudoku is 6 or 9 if it's green. Now, if it wasn't green, let's think about that. Oh, hang on. If it's not green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 of these have to come down. 2, 3. That is 8 cells. Okay, so that is green, which means that must be green, which means that is 6 or 9, which means that oh, come on. Come on, Simon. So I've got 7 here. I can't come down. I know there's a domino, so I think that's green, isn't it, always? Which is mildly interesting. But, oh, potentially very interesting. Oh, that's it. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, I've got. So now I have to use this clue, because if that square was black, let's check this out. This 11 and question mark clue, that will have to be a question mark down there. This will have to be an 11. But now I've got to make this reach 2 more cells. So it's going to take those 2 and connect. That clearly is wrong. So that's got to be green, which means this 11 question mark clue has to be this. That's got to connect. That's got to connect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 of this done now. It's going to be quite difficult to make that work because we can't put any big digits in it. So one of these is definitely green. So both of those can't be green, so that must be green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 of both of these regions. And so if I put that one into the sort of bluey region, that will be in the purpley region. and vice versa. Oh, come on. You've got to be kidding. You've got... Right, okay, so it's going to be this column. he asserts, hopefully, 4, 5 and 7 into these squares. 4, 5 and 7. That doesn't help me with that one. Oh, no! 2 hours 20. Oh, my goodness. 7. I can't even remember what was going on over this side now. I mean, I suspect this has been resolved for ages. And it's 4, 8 in this column, which don't seem to be affected. 7 was next to a black digit, so 7 is there. And then if we get a string, the 2 was in the bridge with the 6 and the 1, wasn't it? 2, 6, 1. 2, 6, 1. Yeah, okay, that's right. So there might be a different way to do this, but I can now tell you for sure that that is not a 2, 6, 1 triple. Because then, where do I put 2, 6, 1 in this region? Well, I'm going to have to put one of... Because those 6 digits couldn't be 2, 6 and 1, I'm going to have to make that square a 2, 6 or a 1. And there's no possibility that's 2, 6 or 1. So that is not 2, 6 or 1, which means this is 2, 6 or 1, which means that's 2, that's 6, that's 1. This square is therefore green, it's not black. That square is therefore black, which means it's not 6. That's become a 7. That's no longer a 7. Doesn't resolve that one, unfortunately. That's now a black square to avoid this being too long. And if that's therefore forcing this to be green. This is a 4 and 8. And now, that's 4. That's 8. That's not 8. That's 8. Oh, it's so nearly exciting. It's so nearly exciting. Come on. Come on. Oh, no. What on earth? Okay. Alright, let's tick off some clues. That clue's done. That clue is useless. That clue's done. Then we've got a 2-digit clue. Oh, sorry, a sort of a question mark clue. And then followed by the naughty clue. So there could be something going on there. This... Well, that clue is done. That's that one. And then this clue, we know one of these is... We know one of those is in, don't we? Exactly one of these is in, and it corresponds to this one. We know that this situation is that one. Oh, and that we've still got this triple here we've got to be a bit careful with. That's got to add up to 11. That might be interesting. Although, I've got to tell you, I don't love the look of that. That digit by Sudoku is a mildly interesting digit, I think. It can be 1, 2 or 4 only. And these digits add up to 11. Okay, well... oh, these are... None of those have got 4 in them anymore. So is that somehow helpful? I'm sure it is helpful some way. Oh, I know. I've got it. I have got it. I've got it. It's not that difficult, actually. Right. Let's look at this digit. Because if that was a 1, how would we keep that down to a single digit total? The only way would be if they were 2, 3 and 4, adding up to 9. They can't be 2, 3 and 4. So they need to have a 1 in them. So that's 2, that's 1. These squares don't have 2 in them. So that, look, they've become a 1, 3, 5 triple out of nowhere, which means that's not a 1, that's not a 3. So this is 6 or 8, and it's part of a, oh no, it's part of a high clue, not a low clue. 1, 3, 5. So can we limit this square then? I thought it's the only thing I've got to look at. If this is 1, these add up to 10, so this would have to be a 4 and a 6. Bother. That works. If it's a 3, we need 8. We couldn't use the 4. So, is this always 6? Is this always 6 is my question. I'm going to definitely check that again. Okay, if this is 2, no, if this is 1, we need 10. We can't do 2, 8. So it's got to be 4, 6. If it's 3, I need 8 more. I can't use the 4. It's got to be 2, 6. I think that's always a 6. Okay. So if this is always a 6, but 1... this is beautiful again. Oh my goodness, right. Now, remember, one of these is part of our is the last cell of green. So what digit are we going to make that in order to make sure that we keep this 6 down to a single digit total? We could add a 2 to it. We can't add 1 or 3. They've appeared in green already. So we are adding 2, and we know where. That's there. That's it. That we've done it. We've done it. That's therefore the final digit. That's a 4 now. So that's a 1. This might do more. Well, it's going to do more. It's going to give me a green digit here. That 6 is giving me an 8 up here. So these squares are a 7, 9 and 7. That's got to be 9. That's got to be 7. That's not 7 anymore. That's not 8 anymore. That's not 9 anymore. Let's keep going with this. No. Bobbins. That's not 4. 3, 8. That's not 9 actually. 3 or 8 now for that one. Okay, so where does the 9 go in that string of digits? It seems to have been eliminated from everywhere apart from here. So that's a 9. That's the world's most useless 9, isn't it? Actually, how many 9s have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 9s, so I should be able to put the 9th 9 into the grid. No, I can't put it in. So it can go in 3 places. Oh, it's because of the strange way that these weird rules work, isn't it? That basically, because we don't have to have one of every digit in every row or column, just getting 8 digits doesn't give me automatically the 9th. Right, so what is it that's going to allow us to fit... that's become a naked single, so that's a 2. It's very strange, because although it feels like we're on the home stretch, it's still very much not done this. This column is done from a reddening perspective. These two have to add up to a single digit total. Those two have... okay, these two have to add up to a single digit total, but they can't use 1 and 2. So they've got to be from 3, 4, 5 and 6, haven't they? 3, and they're not, they don't involve 6. Right, they're from 3, 4 and 5. Right, so all I can see there is I've got a 3, 4, 5 triple in this bottom right region, which means that square is a 7 by sudoku. Now that's useful. 7 and 4 go in, 5 goes in. That becomes a 3, 4 pair, which is certainly completing my reddening of the bottom of the grid. I've got a 3x swing there. I've got to put 3's in those two squares, so those two can't have 3 in them. 5 is doing some work. 5 goes here, 3 goes here. Come on, please, please. I'm literally begging now. So this is done, isn't it? Blue is done. So that these all become done. Oh, this is a double digit total. Okay, well that's a little interesting for this digit, which it could be a 6. It's a 6 or an 8. It's a 6 or an 8, I think. It can't be 7. It can't be 9. If it was less, this wouldn't be a double digit total. So that gets 6'd or 8'd. This one is under different pressure because this one needs to be low enough to retain this to be a single digit total. So this can be 1, 2. It can't be 1 or 2 actually. It can't be 3 or 4. Oh, this is it. This is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be 6, and that's all it can be. This is the magical clue. Because if that was anything else, it's going to make this too big. So that's 6. Therefore, that's 3. That's 4. That's 3. That's 5, and that's become 8. 8 and 7 go in. 4 here. Please, 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 please. 8. Yeah, that's become 6 now. 3, 8, 9 in the corner. Oh, I haven't been checking for 3s in the corner at all. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think this is it. Okay. All right. Let's. I'm gonna have to. I'm worried that the video software is going to break here. I'm just going to redify everything, and then pray that we get a tick. Oh no. What have I done wrong? It might be that the software doesn't understand, because Sven's software will check for 1s and 9s in every row column and 3x3 box, none of which is really applying here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just sort of looking at the regions, seeing if they look right. I think it's possible this is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's possible it's correct. It's an absolutely extraordinary beast of a puzzle. My goodness me. This is going to be one of the longest videos on the channel ever. Japanese sum by Phistomefel. It is extraordinarily clever, this. From the break-in, which was difficult, every single digit has to be earned. And every single digit has a little moment of magic where you suddenly see into the constructor's mind and you can appreciate what he's done. But what's incredible is the pacing of a puzzle like this, because that is 2.5 hours of just continuous brilliance. It was just at that level throughout, wasn't it? It didn't suddenly become easy and collapse. Oh no, it didn't. It didn't start easy and then get harder. It started difficult and interesting, and it remained difficult and interesting until the very end. And we even managed to get a dog look in the grid here. And the dog region was the most difficult region for me by some yardage. I could not see for the life of me how to figure that out, but eventually we did. I mean, it was the 4, 5, 8 possibility in this column, which I was not looking for at all. It's magnificent. Phistomefel, take, what's this, your umpteenth bow. As usual, my mind is blown. My lunch is late, and I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle through it. I loved it. I wish I could do these puzzles every day, but puzzles of this quality simply don't exist. You can't find them every day, and I'm not sure everyone would watch me for 100 and however many minutes. It's been 50 minutes, but thank you for those of you who are still here. I really do appreciate it, and let me know in the comments how you got on. Let me know if you tried it, and could you get through it? Did you zap through it? What have I missed? I always enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.